Well, howdy there, folks. Welcome into this video here today. A few subjects to speak about. Obviously, right off the top, we're going to go through Cybertruck projections. I have four what I think are pretty realistic scenarios around Cybertruck sales, profitability, average selling prices for 2024. I want to run through those numbers and projections with you here in this video, kind of talk about what could go right, what could go wrong for the company, and those sorts of things, and I'll also share what I think is the most realistic of those four scenarios. Then we're going to talk about there's some what I call rich people stocks reporting this week specifically for them, which is going to give us, let's call it a little bit of intel and information into how the high class is doing or not doing. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. One of those stocks I'm actually hedged against currently in the market, and we'll talk about why I'm hedged against that stock for 2024, why I like that as a position to basically bet on. And then we'll talk about kind of why this is actually a really important week here we're about to go into in regards to the market in general and kind of some things like that. Okay, so appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much for being here, folks. Smash that thumbs up button if you enjoyed me sharing these projections with you here today. I appreciate everybody taking the time out of your day to kind of look at these numbers and kind of talk about this a little bit here in regards to this one. Okay, so obviously there's something very indirect that Tesla's going to benefit from massively in 2024 from the Cybertruck, and that's really just the attention around the company. I mean, this is going to be just a ridiculous amount of attention for the company. Just, the amount of posts you're going to see around Cybertruck over this next 12 months is just going to be ridiculous. The amount of friends, family members, just random accounts, the amount of attention on social media around Cybertruck and just Tesla's brand is going to be at an all-time high for 2024 overall, and it's really already starting. And so that's just a benefit for Tesla that you really aren't going to see necessarily in the numbers. It's more of an indirect benefit, but in regards to this, we're really just speaking about Cybertruck in general. Okay, so first scenario here is an average selling price of about $90,000. Now keep in mind the first model starts at $80,000. Okay, in talking about 2024 models, the less expensive version is not going to be available till 2025 plus. So for 2024, you have two options: the $80,000 version or the $100,000 version. Right. That's before you do upgrades and all that other good stuff, right? So I think an average selling price of $90,000 is pretty darn realistic. Let's say they make about a margin of 20%. Now Tesla has made much better margins than that in the past, but do keep in mind this is a vehicle that they're going to be new to ramping to, right? So that's going to cause some issues for at least the first half of the year when they're ramping, and so I would expect actually margins to be lower in the first half of the year for Cybertruck, and then to get much stronger in the back half of the year after they're already kind of got this baby up and ramped, okay? So this scenario takes an average selling price $90,000, margin of 20%. You could basically take, that's about $18,000 of margin there, right? Let's say they do about 100,000 units, which 100,000 units is, in my opinion, pretty realistic. I know there's some estimates out there that are much lower than that. Actually, one of these scenarios is going to be much lower than that. But one is Tesla's going to be able to sell every single Cybertruck they make for the next several years. There's no debating that. Absolutely no debating that, right? But the question is, this is a whole new, different type of vehicle than they've ever built before, right? It's not like the Model Y was. The Model Y was a very easy ramp, relatively speaking, for the company because a lot of the Model 3 had similarities with the Model Y, which they had already ramped Model 3 in the past, right? So Cybertruck's such a different vehicle, so that's going to probably slow down production for probably Q1, and you might see only 10,000 units maybe made in Q1 or something like that, 7,000, 10,000. I think you'll see a big boost up in Q2 and then a huge boost up in Q3 and Q4. So I think 100,000 units is pretty realistic, to be honest. I don't feel like that's a crazy number at all, especially given the engineering capabilities and the manufacturing capabilities that Tesla has, which is a whole different level. When you really go through the Cybertruck, engineering-wise, there's nothing in the auto market that even is remotely close to that vehicle. It's on a whole different level. It's ridiculous. So this would put them at about $1.8 billion in profit thrown off to the company from this scenario, essentially, okay? This is my most bullish scenario I actually have for the company all right here in terms of Cybertruck for 2024. This would be an average selling price of about $100,000, right? Which is definitely pretty possible when you take into the fact that you got the $80,000 one, the $100,000 one in the upgrades, right? People are going to add additions. Like, it's what happens when you get a Tesla, right? Or any vehicle for that matter. So $100,000 ASP for this one, 25% margin, so very good margin on this one. Now, pickup trucks do historically have some of the best margins, if not the best margins of any vehicles out there. So that's something to kind of keep in mind there, right? And remember, they're selling their highest end models right off the bat. So margin about 25% on this one, which would be $25,000 in margin per vehicle. Times that out by about 100,000 units is which would throw off about $2.5 billion in extra profit toward the company overall. Scenario number 3 is ASP of about $85,000, margin of 10%. So this would be obviously a pretty bearish scenario for margin for the company. I mean, if they're selling, an $85,000 vehicle and with Tesla's capabilities, I mean, a 10% margin would be really low. This would mean Tesla had a lot of struggles in kind of ramping this baby and get it up and rolling, okay? Which is always a potential, right? So in this sort of scenario, by the way, this lighting makes me look very washed out. It is what it is. I mean, maybe I should turn the lighting down a little bit. Maybe that's better. I don't know. Maybe not. This lighting is a little crazy here. I mean, holy smokes. Okay, maybe we'll do that. Okay, so this would put them about $8,500 in profit per vehicle. Times that out by 100,000 units, you're at about $850 million profit for the company for this scenario here. And then this scenario is pretty darn bearish. This would put them at about a $95,000 ASP. Once again, only a 10% margin. It means they had a lot of struggles ramping. In this scenario, it would only have 50,000 units being sold, which would be a pretty darn low number. I would be extremely disappointed if Tesla only moves 50,000 units in 2024. Very disappointed. I'd be very disappointed. I think, that would be almost embarrassing. I think Elon would be very embarrassed if they only lose 50,000 units in the first year, okay? But this would put him at about a $475 million profit thrown off to the company in this sort of scenario, right? Is there a scenario where they lose money on Cybertruck in 2024? I think it's extremely unlikely. Looking at the ASPs Tesla's coming through, looking at the fact that this is now going to be the 5th vehicle they've ramped overall, right? I'm feeling very confident they're going to make profits from this in the year overall. I think it's just a big question of, is it like $500 million in profit? Is it like $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion? I think that's a real question in this first year, okay? Now, of these 4 scenarios, which one is the most realistic in my opinion? In my personal opinion, the scenario that's the most realistic is actually scenario 1 I have there. That's the one I would likely expect. ASP is about $90,000, a margin of about 20%, about $18,000 in profit per vehicle. And 100,000 units, I think, is pretty realistic for the company to throw off in 2024 overall. So that's the most realistic scenario. Now, there are scenarios where this company moves 150,000 units or 200,000 units in 2024. I don't want to bank that in. Right? It is possible. If Tesla moved 150,000 Cybertrucks in 2024, would I be surprised? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. 175,000 units even, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to bank on that. I expect 100,000 units, okay? Few things to consider here with Cybertruck. One is they're going to have, from my understanding, and Elon's kind of tweeted a few things around this and responded to a few folks, but it looks like they're likely going to sell a $16,000 extra battery pack, which essentially is going to give you range a little under 500 miles of range. Listen, I think that's potentially a pretty likely upgrade for a lot of folks. If you've got the type of money to spend around $100,000 on a truck, you can do this upgrade, and I think there's going to be a lot of folks that want to do that. One is for the folks that travel in between states, right? And I mean, if I think about it, I live in Vegas, right? If I think about going to Los Angeles, if I think about going to Phoenix, Arizona, if I have a vehicle that gets 300 miles of range as a Tesla, I'm going to need a supercharge. There's no doubt about that, right? Because although technically I should be able to get to LA from here in a 300 mile something range, I don't drive perfectly, right? I'm going to probably drive, faster than I'm supposed to drive in ideal conditions, and there's going to be wind, and there's going to be a bunch of other things that don't get me the mileage that you're supposed to get. No different than, almost nobody gets the actual miles per gallon if you drive an internal combustion engine, right? Because, when they do those tests, they're driving perfect, they never hit the gas too hard, it's like a whole perfect scenario, right? So now, if you told me I have a 470 mile range, which is what they're talking about with this extra battery pack, I don't need to stop. I can go straight through to LA. I can go straight through to Phoenix, and that's cake, right? Also, think about how many people are going to want to do outdoorsy related things with this vehicle, right? And go to the mountains or go here, go camping, go wherever, right? And those people aren't going to want to have to worry about range. They don't want to have to deal with that range anxiety. And when you have a truck that gets nearly 500 miles of range, you pretty much take that out of there, right? So I think that could actually be a pretty popular upgrade and something I think a lot of people need to consider. Okay. Second thing is self-driving upgrade. So first thing I thought about is I don't know how many people are going to do it on a truck, right? Because I think about self-driving software, I think about more on cars and SUVs, right? But I think most people that buy these Cybertrucks are not going to be necessarily driving them around for work. You're not going to pay $100,000 to drive this truck for like manual labor. I just don't see that happening. I think most people that get this truck, at least in the first few years of it, now 5-10 years down the road, that could be a whole different ball game. But at least for the first couple of years here, I think it's going to be more people that have trucks as, instead of having a Range Rover, they're going to drive a Cybertruck. Instead of having a Ford Raptor, I've never seen a Ford Raptor on a job site before. I know a lot of people that have Ford Raptors. I don't know one of them. They use it for actually like manual labor jobs or something like that. Like no one does that, right? You're going to buy like an F-150. You're going to buy like a Chevy Silverado, something like that, right? Probably a used truck for those sorts of jobs. So self-driving software, maybe it is a popular upgrade, which is a whole bunch of margin, obviously, for Tesla, for however many people do that, right, and make that decision. And keep in mind, these are going to be higher income folks. All these first year or two, it's all going to be higher income folks that are buying these Cybertrucks. So maybe that self-driving software year one is doing really phenomenal. That's straight margin for Tesla, man. Straight margin. Premium connectivity, that's only like $12 a month or so. I think a lot of these folks are going to get it on the truck. I think it's just going to be very popular for those folks. Off-roading. So the reason I have that up there is if you're taking this truck into more dangerous conditions that you usually wouldn't take a Model 3, a Model Y, or something like that, there's a higher probability something's going to break, something's going to go wrong, right? You're going to mess the truck up doing something. Like, there's just higher probabilities of that. If you've ever done any off-roading or anything like that, you know this, right? And so there could be a services opportunity there that just isn't realistic with the Model 3 and Model Y in the past, right? And then last thing is color choice over time, right? And we'll see how much this helps 2024 numbers, because I don't know, maybe they'll only have the steel option the whole year, or maybe they'll start another option. But all I know is whenever the steel look is really cool right now, but it's going to get really played out really fast. And then people are going to want to do matte black Cybertrucks, gloss black Cybertrucks. They're going to want to do red Cybertrucks. They're going to want to do blue Cybertrucks. They're going to want to do different colors. They're going to want to do white Cybertrucks. They're going to get sick of just the steel look over time, okay? And so that's a huge potential for Tesla, right? That could be thousands of dollars in upgrade just from color as well. So that's something to kind of keep in mind there in regards to Cybertruck, right? No, the vehicle's getting ridiculous publicity. I mean, absolutely insane. And by the way, check this video out. If you haven't checked this video out, right here by this guy, Haggerty. Holy smokes, was that a great review. Yeah, I can see why it has 2.5 million views already. What a phenomenal review. I mean, he went into the engineering work. It was unbelievable across the board. I think probably the best review of anything I've seen out there. Look at this video, 1.5 million views 15 hours ago. MKBHD, 8.5 million views, and that was just posted yesterday. 8.5 million views. Look at this. The Tesla video here, 1.4 million. CNET, the release, 1.4 million. The truck poll already is sitting at 1.1 million. Believe me, these videos are going to keep pulling in views for days, weeks, and months, and even years to go into the future, right? When people are going to search Cybertruck, or it's going to pop up in their feed, things like that, right? Obviously, tons of people are writing articles about it, how Tesla Cybertruck compares with other pickups. Everybody's writing different articles about Cybertruck. So, the media attention, the social media attention, it's going to be off the charts for Cybertruck for all of 2024. All of 2024. It's going to be ridiculous. Every single person that is going to freaking see a Cybertruck in person for their first time, do you know what they're going to do? Pictures and videos galore. And they're going to send it to all their friends. I just saw my first Cybertruck. They're going to post it on their Instagrams and their TikTokies and their Facebooks and all that other good stuff. Just saw my first Cybertruck. Everybody that gets one, everybody that knows that person is going to want to take a ride in it. And they're going to be posting photos and videos. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. We've never seen this sort of attention on a vehicle in the history of mankind. Nothing could compare to what Cybertruck's about to go through in 2024. Absolutely ridiculous, folks. So, obviously, very exciting times. And, in seeing, I'll just be honest with you guys, in regards to me, and potentially, I bought some Tesla stock at the beginning of the year when it was way down, right? Other than that, I hadn't really been buying Tesla stock since, 2018, 2019. And I'm sitting on maybe $400,000 in shares or so. I'll be honest with you guys, okay? Seeing the engineering work in the magic that Tesla's done here, and I think a video like this really illustrates it. I'll be completely honest with you guys, I want to start buying more Tesla stock. And that's a hard decision to make because I don't love Tesla's valuation right now. I loved it at the beginning of the year. I don't necessarily love it right now, but Tesla is such a ridiculous team there that it makes me 100% convinced that they're just going to continue to innovate at a whole different level than anybody else is innovating, and you just can't compete with those guys. You can't freaking compete with them. I don't care who else you are. The traditional automakers have no chance. Even the companies like the Rivians and Lucids have no chance. They're a whole different squad. They're the definition of built different over there. And you just, I don't think there's a company in the world that really is doing what Tesla's doing right now. And when you really look into the technology behind the Cybertruck, you really start to realize these guys are playing on a different freaking level, man. A different level. And you're not going to beat them. And they're going to keep innovating, and they're going to keep wowing with products that people just thought, and doing things technologically that people thought was not possible. And they're going to keep breaking it and breaking it and breaking it. And so, yeah, man, I'm just very convinced, like, this is just a team on a whole different level, man. Not just from everything I've seen in the past, but now seeing the tech on the Cybertruck, you can't walk away with anything other than thinking like Tesla's just going to continue to change the world for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years in a massive, massive way, okay? Alrighty, so some rich people stocks are reporting this week, 4 of them to be exact. Let's speak about those, okay? Toll Brothers, that's the first one. I don't know why I put one of 3. It's actually 4 rich people stocks reporting this week. First one is Toll Brothers, okay? Now, why do I call Toll Brothers a rich people stock? Well, the reason being is this chart you're seeing in front of you, this is average delivered price of homes. And this goes by home builder, right? So you have LGI Homes here. You have D.R. Horton, $385,000 per average delivered home. You have Century Communities. Maybe you guys might have one of these homes out there. Lennar, Beazer, KB Homes is right around $500,000 per home. You have Pulte Homes right there, $542,000. Taylor Morrison, TriPoint, and then Toll Brothers in a whole different stratosphere. I mean, $924. But here's a fascinating thing. That number you're seeing right there, outdated. It's an outdated number, okay? Check this out. These are the latest quarterly results they had, right? And in that quarter, average price per home in their backlog is approaching $1.1 million now. Average price per home. Average is now close to $1.1 million. Absolutely insane. Okay, absolutely insane. So that's why I call it, a rich people stock, because the prices are, when your average selling price is nearly 1.1 million. Woo-wee. Okay. Now, I'm hedged against Toll for 2024. It's one of several stocks I'm hedged against. I got Polaris, I got some Apple hedges, I got some Toll Brother hedges, I have another stock or two. Okay, so why do I like Toll Brothers as a hedge? Well, first off, I don't love any of my hedges. And the reason being is I actually think the economy is actually going to likely strengthen in 2024. I think real wages are going to get better. But with that being said, I have some hedges on just in case. Not that prediction's not right and things get really bad. Just in case. I have some hedges on, okay? And so with Toll Brothers specific, it doesn't even need to get ugly for this stock to fall quite a bit, potentially. And the reason being is a few fronts, okay? Their average price per home has gone up so much now that it's pricing a lot of people out, okay? 2 is their gross margins have gone to stratospheric levels. Home sales gross margin was 27.8%. This is ridiculous. Their adjusted home sales gross margin, 29.3%. And that's benefits of, 1, a lot of commodities have come down. 2, people have been very desperate for homes, and they've been willing to pay any price. And so Toll Brothers has been a huge beneficiary of the low inventory out there. And I don't think this situation they're going through right now and will be over this next few quarters with these huge home prices and the huge margins, I don't think that's lasting long term. And I think there's a potential it could start to break in 2024 for the company. And if investors start to see any of that trend start to break in terms of what they think future margins are going to be or average selling prices, if either of those start to break, you're going to see a breakdown in the stock in quite a substantial way. Their income from operations is just out of this world. Income from operations last quarter, $515 million. Nearly 20% of revenue was income from operations. I mean, the numbers are just insane, man. Just insane. The net income for this company is going to likely be somewhere between $1.3 and $1.4 billion for 2023. That compares to nearly $1.3 billion last year, right? Obviously, there's been a massive tick up over the last couple of years because people have been desperate for homes, and it's benefited all the home builders, including Toll Brothers, quite substantially. And also, a lot of people let's just call it, started the building process in 2021, right? But the problem is Toll Brothers had a big backlog at that time, so they didn't even start homes till 3, 6, 9 months later. And so a lot of these homes have started to be delivered in 22, 23 that were really actually signed contracts. I know people personally that literally would fall into that sort of category overall, okay? Now, if you look at Toll Brothers' net income, in good years for the real estate industry, they're usually doing $300 million to $750 million in net income, right? Now, there's been no crazy change in Toll Brothers. AI hasn't magically helped them. This isn't a tech company where all of a sudden they figured out, oh my gosh, we can make so much more money this way or that way. No, okay, it's building homes. And we've gone through a crazy great cycle for these home builders, but this is in good times. In good times, like these were all good years for home building. 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Those are good years for home building. And they were making $300 million to $750 million a year roughly in net income, right? That's where they should be. Not 1.3, not 1.4 billion. That's just, being able to capitalize on the moment, right? And by the way, I'm not expecting Toll Brothers to go to some sort of situation like we had in the great financial crisis, at least not anytime soon, where they start losing money, because they actually did start losing money in the great financial crisis, right? But if I can just tell you, if all of a sudden you went from a situation where, you're making 1.3, 1.4 billion, and then people are like, you're going to probably drop that back down to under $1 billion, and then if people start thinking you go down this number, then your stock price gets halved really, really quickly in that sort of scenario, right? So, I don't love any of my hedges, to be honest, but they're hedges and they're there for reasons, just in case. It's like health insurance, just in case, okay? 3 rich people stocks are reporting on Thursday. Lululemon's reporting, RH is reporting, and a company named Vail Resorts is reporting. This Vail Resorts company basically is big with skiers and snowboarders, which, are arguably rich people sports themselves. It's over $1,000 for a winter pass to go skiing and snowboarding at their resorts. If you want a 4-day pass, it's over $400. Over $400 to go skiing and snowboarding at their places. And they also own a bunch of basically like luxury hotels as well, right? And so they really cater to that demographic. So I think their earnings will be interesting to kind of hear how the winter season is shaping up for them. Are folks feeling good or are they not feeling good, right? Now, this next one up here, RH, they're having a really bad year, okay? For this year, their earnings per share is expected to be halved, go down 50+%, okay? As far as revenue, down about 14%. Now, that's crazy in itself, right? Think about that. Revenue down 14%, but EPS down over 50%. Important, right? Lets you know how much revenue is important. Now, next year, analysts have this company getting back to nice, strong growth. 43% EPS expansion expected in 2024, which is their fiscal 2025. And then as far as next year, 7.5% revenue growth, right? And I think there's question marks around that. The luxury house market is not good still. It's not good at all. It does have something benefiting it that I'll show you in just a moment, but it's not good, okay? My city, Las Vegas, this came out this summer. Las Vegas sees nation's biggest drop in luxury home listings. It hasn't been a good, luxury market has not been strong. Not strong, okay? I looked at, I've been keeping an eye on this house, which is pretty close to me here. And, they went 43.5 for it. Or excuse me, 23.5 for it. And I've been keeping an eye on it. And just, it's not moving. And it's been on the market for quite some time now. And it's not moving. I looked at this other house pretty close to me. This one sold for 15.5 in July. But here's the thing. The folks listed it in April for 19.9. Then they brought it down to 18.9, then 17.9, then some contingent situation. Then they finally sold it for 15.5. It's a $4.4 million drop. It's not like it's a small amount of money. $4.4 million. Run them on a percentage basis as well, and it's a huge percent, right? That's roughly, we can call it 20-ish percent. They had drop price. It's a big number, man. Big number. So luxury housing market, from what I see, is not good. At some point it will get good, but it's not good right now. And I'm just like, I'm not totally convinced like the luxury housing market's going to be booming in 2024. But I'm also, I will say, not 100% convinced that it's going to be necessarily bad for all of 2024. And the reason being is we got something helping out. The luxury housing market, and that is this. The S&P 500 has started to boom. I mean, this is a 1-year chart of the S&P 500, right? The stock market's so important because obviously people own stocks, including wealthier people, right? 401ks, they got money in index funds or with hedge fund managers or wherever, right? And on top of that, it's a gauge of confidence, especially for the luxury type buyer, right? And if high-end people see the stock market going up, it's a gauge of confidence for them. It's a huge gauge of confidence for them. If the market's going lower and lower, wealthy people sometimes they get a little like, I don't really want to go buy that house right now. I'll keep where I'm at. So we'll see what happens with that. I think it's an important stock to pay attention to. I love listening to conference calls. Gary Friedman, I love listening to him talk about the brand, talk about where the business is at, where the business is going. I wouldn't be surprised if he's more optimistic on the call. And so we'll see. Lululemon's reporting, okay? I call Lululemon a rich people stock as well because, I just went to their website and just, hit the women tab or whatever, right? And I'm looking at the price points, $148, $88 for a skirt, $148 for these pants. The price points, okay? I didn't even know they had a men's side of their business till very recently. And look at these prices. A hoodie for $128? Some joggers for $118 for some jogging pants? Holy smoke, is this no jokus? What? Suede camp collar overshirt? This thing looks like I could get that at Cabela's for $29.99. And Lululemon wants $168. I could go to Bass Pro Shops and get that for probably $24.47 on sale or something like that. Holy smokes. This is actually a pretty decent look to this, but it's got those weird hand things. I don't know about that. $128 for that. So, the price points are just high on Lululemon. And also, I'm a little confused about their brand. I thought they were supposed to be an athletic company, but then they're selling this stuff that this isn't athletic, like this crew neck sweater, this 5-pocket pants. This isn't even athletic stuff. A cardigan? A cardigan? They're selling a cardigan for $198? This isn't even athletic. What are we talking about here? This navigation down hoodie, $268? So I don't even know what they're doing with their brand, but I guess they're trying to become more than an athletic company or something like that, but we'll see how all that transforms over the next few years. Now, if you know my opinion on Nike versus Lululemon, I'll take Nike any day of the week. Now, for the next 5 months, who knows? Maybe Lululemon does way better than their stock for the next 5 months. For the next 5 years, I want Nike 100%. Look at the past 40 years of everybody that's ever tried to compete against Nike. And you will find time and time again, these athletic brands, they grow. They're all of a sudden like, woo, this is a new competitor. And then they start to downfall. I've seen it from Under Armour. I saw it from And One, Reebok, Adidas. I don't think I've seen it from everybody that's tried them has ended up failing in the end, right? And, Lululemon's the hot thing right now. I just don't know if it's going to be the hot thing in 5 or 10 years. We'll see how it all transforms. But I just don't want to bet against Nike ever, really, to be quite honest. And I think a bet for Lulu is very much a bet against Nike overall, unless you think Lulu's going to be selling these, $198 cardigans or these down hoodies for $268 forever or something like that, right? This is why Nike always wins, right here. Endorsements. Nike buys out the biggest athletes, whereas somebody like Lululemon, they don't have that capital to spend there. And so ultimately your brand can be hot for a little bit, but then it starts to falter. Whereas a Nike's ingrained the best of the best. We have the best athletes. We have the best people who wear our brand, and Lululemon's just not known for that, right? This is how Nike always wins. They spend $1 billion plus on just endorsements a year. $1 billion plus, nothing on endorsements. It's insane, right? And they'll endorse all these different areas of the cool, popular, successful people, right? You look at somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo, who's probably, the second most followed person on all of Instagram. Nike's had a great relationship with him over the years. Tiger Woods, if you think about prime Tiger Woods, he always had his Nike red shirt on every Sunday, always rocking that Nike hat, and always just had massive Nike contracts, right? You obviously think about LeBron James and what he's done over the past 20 years, always been a Nike guy, right? They signed Drake to a deal years ago, and they've expanded that relationship recently. And if you see him at his concerts, he's rocking these, Nike vests and all this sorts of stuff. And he's got this Nike brand, and is this other brand that's basically inside Nike that started now. I think it's called Nocta or something like that. And so They're just like, who's super successful, who's super popular, give them a bag, and they're going to rock all our stuff. And then they just get, they've been doing it since the Michael Jordan days, the 1980s, and they've been doing it ever since. And this is why you can't compete with them, because they'll outspend you. They're willing to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these athletes, $1 billion. If that's what it takes, they'll do it. No one else can do that. No one else is willing to do that. That's the difference. That's why Nike stays around, popular, decade after decade after decade after decade. And it'll still be super popular when everybody, including myself, is no longer here on this planet. I bet you, as long as Nike keeps doing what they do, like they'll still be very popular 60 years from now, 100 years from now, 150 years from now. It's a plan that no one else can copy, and they're the only ones who can do it. The only ones. And they're the only ones willing to do it, to be quite honest, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Now, this is a big week for the market. And the reason being is you got to really see a lot of these big dogs perform well this week. Metas, Teslas, Amazons, these sorts of stocks. If everybody's kind of thinking Santa Claus rally, this is a big week because this is the first week of December here. So you want to see these sorts of stocks rally. You want to see an Amazon up 3 to 5% this week. A stock like Tesla up 3 to 5%. Now, Tesla could be a little volatile this week because the Cybertruck event just happened. Options market can be crazy. You want to see a stock like Meta. Meta's going to be, I think Meta's the most important stock to the market other than Nvidia for this week. You want to see a Meta up 3 to 5% this week. If you see those sorts of moves in those stocks, more than likely Santa's coming to town. If those stocks are weak for whatever reason, then there's going to be a lot of doubts about the remainder of December. And if maybe Santa already came in November and had his good time and he's out for now, okay? So we'll see how that shakes out. But I do think, if we have a ripper rally in December overall, I do think that potentially sets us up for some selling to happen in January. That's just my personal opinion on that. I think there'll be a lot of Wall Streeters that will be looking to take some profits come February, if we rocket this market in December. Now, if the market doesn't rocket in December, I think it's a wild card. I think that puts Q1 into a really crazy kind of situation, okay? So, I'll obviously keep you guys up to date with everything going on in the market. I appreciate y'all joining me. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being subscribed. If you're looking to apply to join my private group, get access to all my courses, get access to 6- and 7-figure Discord chats, access to see the moves I'm making in my nearly $2 million Fidelity account, all that good stuff, then check out the pinned comment down there. You fill out an application, and we can see if we can get you in there this week. Much love, and have a great day.